Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Like I've always said, we trend towards an NBA podcast, and the trade deadline is coming up. You know, like I said, for full disclosure, most of us have watched a lot of NBA in terms of like, you know, just regular season games, and I think it's like the Saturday night games they're doing and things like that. I think they'll be maybe shifting to like Sunday night after football season. But we've been watching a lot of basketball, and with the trade deadline coming up on Thursday, I wanted to ask the guys, what are some trades that is probably more realistic? What are some trades that, you know, maybe fantasy? What are the moves that some of these teams could do? And Zoo, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you.
I'm gonna put out a fantasy first, because this fantasy ain't gonna become a reality because my boy Zach LaVine decided
season ending
to end the season, man.
He heard
he heard Detroit Piston rumors, and he's like, Clutch Sports, let's have this surgery, man. That's what happened.
Yep.
That's what happened, and I'm a little ticked off by it because I don't think he needed season-ending surgery. I actually think him and Rich were having conversations, be like, that will ruin my career, going to that franchise and be forgotten in the history of basketball, not be getting a next big contract. Because in Detroit, that team is historically going down as one of the worst teams ever. He had Zach LaVine, a non-winning player to that. My goodness, it's like a match made in hell, man. Match made in hell down there. So, like, not gonna lie, business-wise, pretty smart decision, but I'm a little ticked off because this whole Zach LaVine drama and him demanding a trade, like he demanded a trade, and AK was trying to find a trade to get some equal value back. But with them taking this injury, I am real ticked off at that, and they ain't getting nothing. Pretty much with an injured Zach, you gotta give a pick. We give you $250 and we got to give a pick to get an expiring contract? No, I ain't doing that, okay? If you're not going to play, okay, you're sitting on the bench. You're sitting on the bench, man. You're going to be watching, I would assume, start at the shooting guard position. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be clapping for your teammates.
He's going to have his Gucci suit, his Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, you do whatever. You had a new kid, be a happy dad, but you sitting in Chicago in the cold winter, man. You're sitting in that Chicago weather. You ain't going nowhere. But a guy... So I mentioned Zach, but I feel like a guy that he just doesn't deserve to be on the Bulls right now of the situation. It's DeMar DeRozan. Like DeMar DeRozan, they offered him a contract extension, couldn't get a deal done. Like they're still negotiating, but I think DeMar still wants to get paid because he still could play. Like obviously he's not the greatest 3-point shooter, and his defense is pretty abysmal, but he's still a mid-range assassin that could create his own in isolation like situations. So in playoff situations, when the pace goes slow down, you need a guy to get you a bucket. DeMar DeRozan's that guy, and I feel like his asking price will not be that high because he's on an expiring contract. Because you got to trade for him and you got to extend him if you want his value past this season. And I feel like a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, which got a lot of dry ammo, Like got all those picks from the Harden trade. Shout out to Daryl Morey for pulling that off. Get some picks, man. You throw in a pick. Maybe some contract, like whatever, expiring contract, like whatever.
Little filler.
Yeah, a little filler. The players legitimately don't matter at all. Like they don't have to give up a Maxey or even like a Tobias Harris. They can keep all those guys. Just get some filler contract. You get DeMar DeRozan on that team in the playoffs. Yeah, he's a guy that could just go in, automatically give you. You already know what he's going to get. He's going to give you 20 points easy. He's going to give you ball handling and creation at the wing position. And you don't have to give up multiple first-round picks. I feel like one pick could get a trade done. And for the Chicago Bulls, it's just called salvage value, man. Like, the guy's not going to stay in Chicago. Like, I don't think he's having fun right now because his team's a couple games below 500. His entire backcourt is sitting on the bench. That's close to $70 million in annual salary sitting on the bench. And we got, Bush, man. Our backcourt is Ayo, Dosunmu, I love Alex Caruso, but Alex Caruso, like Julian Phillips, Kobe White, like these are our guys who are playing heavy minutes right now.
Javon Carter.
Oh, Jesus. Javon, you know what Javon Carter is? I see 6.5 under. Easy. 6.5 points under every single time, man. Easy money, man.
Keith Logan's-esque.
Dude, I think he's worse than Keith Bogan because that defense is not impressive at all, man. Like Javon Carter is one of the worst players I've ever seen in my entire life. But this is a pathetic situation. This team is lucky to be only 4 games under 500. The only bright spot is Kobe White. I love Kobe White this season. Took a step. Like Zach LaVine took a step back. Kobe White took that step back. So shout out to Kobe White for improving his game, man. But DeMar DeRozan, I think he should be shipped away to a team that could contend for the playoffs. And I got to say another Chicago Bull, Andre Drummond. This guy is awesome. He's a rebounding god, one of the greatest rebounders I've ever seen. This guy could play 10 minutes and get 10 rebounds. It's absurd. It's actually absurd. Like when this guy was starting, his over-under for rebounds was 16, man. Like he's just that good at rebounding the basketball. And I feel like a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's out there competing right now, they have a treasure chest of picks that they could trade for the next half decade. Picks. Yeah, I'm just saying I like assets. I need some assets because right now the Bulls are lacking in assets. And Andre Drummond, he's also offering expiring contracts. So I don't think Andre Drummond will take – like he took a pay cut to come back. I'm surprised he took that $3 million deal. But he's making $3 million, one of the best deals in the NBA. Oklahoma City needs a guy to back up Chet. Like, he needs a guy to help Chet out against the physical guys because I love Chet, but the boy is skinny, and you need a guy to take the hits. And Andre Drummond will be an awesome backup for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm shipping out some Chicago Bulls to help out some playoff contenders because these guys deserve better. They deserve better.
I heard this on the podcast. You guys are Bulls fans. Zoo probably knows more than anybody like their pick situation. Is it true that you guys don't have? Like if every pick doesn't convey, you guys don't have a first and a second round pick till 2028.
No, we have a pick this year. We have a pick this year. Next year we might not have to pick due to the DeMar DeRozan trade. So depending on where they finish, they might lose the pick to San Antonio. But this year we have this year's pick, even though this is a terrible draft class. So it's not.
Yeah, I was just reading, not reading, but I just heard that they were just saying like all the picks, all those trades you made for like Vucevic, DeRozan, and all that stuff, like how
we already paid out. We already paid out most of it. Like we paid out Franz Wagner, who is balling for the Orlando Magic. So I don't even like thinking about this. I don't want to bring up a source, but Franz is. You know what Franz would be? The perfect small forward for this team, man. Ain't Patrick Williams? That's all I know. He'd be a
perfect small forward.
Ain't Patrick Williams? Yeah, he could dribble. He could shoot. Yeah. He's long. He's good. Got a little playmaking. Like I'm just like Jesus Christ, man. That was such a blunder. Such a blunder.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to ask in that. Go ahead, people.
Yeah. I mean, dude, they're the definition of a selling team right now, for sure. The only thing DeMar deserves, he's a great guy. He's a good teammate too. He's a great leader on the team.
Good guy.
Him and Tobias Harris just kind of irks me, like just system-wise. And also, why would they pay him? That's such a crowded, guy at the end of the game.
They have enough money. They have after Tyrese Maxey's max salary slot. They have money, like max money to pay someone, but they don't have to pay DeMar the max. They could maybe
they don't have to pay him.
Yeah, they don't have to pay him the max. Like, but that money you got to spend it somewhere. If they don't get like a guy like Paul George in free agency, which it just
depends on who the free agents are.
Like Paul George, if they get Paul George max, easy pick. But I think Paul George's going to stay with the Clippers. So the free agency class is kind of looking sad. So you got to give some of that money to someone.
Yeah, you got to give it to DeMar. I just don't think it'll put him up. Man, the 76ers are just the team where they're like, oh, this is the guy we need, man. And then it's just, it doesn't really pan out,
Yeah.
So I just
think it's like knees, man.
It's just going to be a whole lot of the same. That's just DeMar's a great player. I think he will do good things for them. It's not going to make a difference against the Celtics team this year, especially with Embiid and his knee injury, right? So I'm looking at a team in the West. I mentioned it to the guys beforehand, the Mavericks. Luka Doncic, man, you got to just pair him with a bunch of solid role players, man. You got to have guys that – you know what he needs, though, Zoo? And you know who they should have gone for was OG Anunoby, man. I think I had said that.
Oh, OG, yes.
I'm going to
guard the wing.
OG would have been an awesome fit. They need a lanky, small forward, two-way type player. And, the Knicks pulled it off. Props to them. It seems to be working flawlessly for them so far. I know he's not having the best year, man, and he's on a struggling team right now. But I think Andrew Wiggins could have a little bit of a resurgence on the Mavericks, man. I'm not saying this is a huge trade. They're not going to have to give up much for him. He's averaging 12 points per game on 44%. But look, when he has – Bazoo, listen to this. Here's an interesting
12
stat.
12 points? Jesus.
Luka Doncic's game is drive and kick, right? That's his entire game.
Yeah.
When Andrew Wiggins has more than 4 feet of separation when he gets the ball at the 3-point line, he actually makes 36% of his 3-point shots. That's pretty good. I mean, I know he's playing with Steph Curry. He's playing with, all the Warriors. This guy's a former All-Star. He's not going to be at that level. He looks like
I don't know. He's an All-Star because of K-pop, man. Like, we got to put an asterisk.
Sure. That's so, yeah, touche. All right. But, I'm just saying that they need to add some depth, man. They need to just switch things up. They just need to give him some other guys that can shoot. And he's a good defender. He's actually a pretty damn good defender. And he's lanky, 6'7". Just add some guys, man. Make some moves because they have blundered multiple moves over the years with Mark Cuban, man. You remember the old story of DeAndre Jordan coming there on the verbal agreement, man? You're talking about the
Doc
Jalen
Rivers
Brunson.
locked him in a room or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. The Jalen Brunson mess up. I mean, they got
that's the worst
steal. They got him on a steal for $25 million a year. Obviously, in hindsight, but you should have seen that in the stars, man. And I'm not saying Wiggins is going to put him over the top to be competing for a championship, but he's a solid veteran guy that I think could help out some of the younger players on the team, provide a little bit of that two-way presence, and he's going to get more wide open shot, even though Steph Curry's there in Golden State. And yeah, you're going to get a lot of wide open shots when they have to double team Steph Curry. But man, you got to triple team Luka Doncic, man. So, I just think he's going to have some wide open looks, and he's proven that he can at least knock down some of them and still provide you a solid defensive effort. So there really aren't many like blockbuster trades this year that I like without Zach LaVine now. It just doesn't seem like there's going to be like an all-star move happening.
Dejounte Murray is probably the biggest name right now.
Dejounte to the Lakers. I've
Which
seen
is,
that.
says a lot. It says
a lot of noise. A lot of noise.
It says a lot about the trade market.
Yeah. But I think it's just telling about the NBA too. It is interesting how we see huge trade deadline years. And then as of recently, I mean, I just feel like it's shifting a little bit to kind of like end of season trades, right? Big free agency signings. So I just don't see a huge splash happening. Sure, you could say Dejounte Murray, man, but is that really going to put the Lakers over the top?
Yeah, he ain't a superstar. No. I like him a lot. He's a borderline all-star.
He's a solid player.
He doesn't really excite, even though he's shooting pretty well this year. He doesn't really excite me. But I do like Andrew Wiggins on. That's a good one. I'm gonna throw another name out there that's similar to Andrew Wiggins. Dorian Finney-Smith back to Dallas. Very similar, like two-way.
Where is he at now?
He's in New Jersey, the Brooklyn Nets. Nets.
Oh man, you were about to throw that back far, Zoo. New Jersey Nets.
Shout out to the New Jersey Nets. East Rutherford, stand up.
Yeah, so like I think that like the Brooklyn Nets got all the role players, man. Like there's hella role players that contenders.
Cam Thomas is another.
Yeah, make some calls and just offer some first round picks and try to get these assets from them because they're like Mikal Bridges too, man. I feel like
untouchable.
He's their guy.
First rounders.
Yeah, he's their guy right now. Like, but everyone else on the team, I think it's open season right now. Yeah. So try to get a guy like a Finney-Smith that could join any contending roster.
That to Peebush's point, Luka, especially at this stage in his career, and it might be for eternity until he retires, he needs solid role players. Like I said, that's not to say Kyrie can't fit in that mold because he did win a championship with LeBron, and LeBron's the only one that's able to win a championship with Kyrie. But maybe Luka having someone like Kyrie as a really, really good number two, and then the rest just, like you say, 3-and-D, solid guys, 6'7" guys just be able to shoot. I do think, though, with Andrew Wiggins, I think if I was Dallas, and maybe I don't know what their draft compensation is in terms of like what they could be able to give out to get this player, but I think Jeremy Grant's a better version of Andrew Wiggins, and I think he would put them over the top even more because he's a better shooter, he's a better scorer, and I think him as a third, option, because he would be, not saying he would be like on some nights he can maybe match Kyrie in terms of just being like a nice second, like a second scorer. But him as a third option in that offense, and like I said, if you're able, you probably have to give up Tim Hardaway, maybe. I don't know who else on that team, Josh Green. But I mean, if you're able to keep Josh Green or Tim Hardaway, and then you got those four, that's a nice little nucleus in the playoffs. So that's just a guy I was thinking about because I wrote him down for Dallas. But speaking of Dejounte, to you guys' point, I wasn't ever in the camp of like Dejounte needs to be with the Lakers because I just, like you said, I'm a D'Lo guy. I like D'Lo. Now I know he couldn't play in the playoffs against. I know he couldn't play in the playoffs
D'Lo is very different from regular season D'Lo. Very different players,
like you said. But it's like, to me, I felt like that argument would have had more credence if it was in the first round. Like D'Lo got you to the Western Conference Finals. People act like he got kicked out in the first round. Like, he got you to the Western Conference Finals. He was an integral part. So, like, and Dallas is a bad matchup for a lot of teams. You lost to the NBA champion. So it's not like you lost to, like, a Memphis team and you just D'Lo was unplayable. Like, he got you there. And like you said, maybe if you adjust stuff, if they get back to that point, which is kind of looking bleak right now, but if they were to get back to that point, like, Dallas is still going to be a bad matchup for a lot of teams. So I just think it was a little bit of overreaction. I do think D'Lo has moments. If you were to go back, if you were watching that Saturday night game against Golden State, if you just watched that entire fourth and that overtime, and I think the double overtime, and just saw how D'Lo played in terms of him making stupid passes, lazy passes, and then in the same breath coming down and making like unconscious threes, that's just the D'Lo experience. I feel like that's just what he's going to do. Like you said,
Trae Young, man.
Just the other day he was 27, which I didn't know he was that young, but he's been in the league for a while. But still, like I said, I don't think that moves the needle in terms of like, hey, give up D'Lo a pick to get Dejonte. Part of the reason because it's the Lakers, and I think they're probably going to make a bigger play for Trae Young. I think that's coming down the road because I think during the summer the Lakers can trade 3 first-round picks, and like you said, if you look at the connections, Trae, Clutch, all Trae's got to say is like, okay, I've had my time fun in Atlanta. Let's go to LA, and then. Same thing we saw with Anthony Davis in New Orleans. Like LeBron and that franchise with the LA, they usually get what they want. So I think that if you're talking about who I want to get off the Hawks, if I'm the Lakers, I'd rather get Trae and spend the draft capital. Because as we've seen, everybody that gets up and arms around draft picks, have a blast. You're still not going to be any good. Because from what I've seen, all these trades, except for like, well, I mean, Shea is the one we always talk about. Like, if the Clippers could have maybe kept Shea, that would have been different. But like, man, go ahead and give up all the draft capital and say, yes, we got, because you know what it is, and this is another like a side tangent. All it is for GMs to be like, to tell fans we have a future. But like you said, how many generational players come in these drafts? Not a lot. So guess what? You're going to get a bunch of guys who are role guys, and you're going to get to the first, second round and lose. You're not going to get to the finals more than likely unless you have a generational player. That's just how this league works.
When we're down, Sean, don't kick us.
No, just saying that's how it works. It usually works. Like unless you have a LeBron, a Steph, a KD. Like if you even look at just the finals winners, like a Jokic, like you got to have those guys to win. Everything else is just filler. But speaking of DeJounte, that is true. That is true. But I will say, speaking of DeJounte, listen, I watched the Saturday night game. I think it was Saturday night. Was it Saturday night when the Knicks played the Lakers? Jalen Brunson. I was a guy thinking like, I think he'll be a good player out from Luka. I don't think he's going to be like an all-star. He'll be a nice piece to whatever they get in a bigger star. Well, I've been proven wrong on that. Jalen Brunson is an all-star caliber player. He's tough as nails. He's a perfect player for Thibodeau. And the Knicks, outside of playing against the Lakers, like Dave was like, I think on a 9-game winning streak, and most of that's because of Jalen Brunson. Like I said, they got the OG guy. So I know everybody is having this like, oh, Dejounte needs to go to the Lakers. But it's like, why can't the Knicks just make a move and try to get Dejounte themselves? Like Dejounte back in his Spurs days. Now, this might be part of because he's playing with Trae and it's contagious in terms of just not wanting to play defense. That may just be rubbing off on Dejounte. But if you go back to his days in the Spurs, his calling card was a defensive point guard. And then he evolved into a ball handler. And like you said, he's shooting really well this year. I think the Knicks should be looking at like, hey, let's make a play for DeJounte because if you look at just their backcourt, Jalen Brunson's a guy who's on the ball. He's going to be able to do whatever he does on the ball. Dejounte Murray is a 6'5" guard who's also another secondary ball handler. I'm always a guy who, you can never not have enough ball handlers. So to me, you get DeJounte, you get Jalen. Like I said, I mean, you're probably Fournier. I think I saw his contract's expiring. He's like $22 million. Like that's something you can put out there. They said they're interested in Quentin Grimes. You can maybe do that. And then they got draft capital. You can add a pick or two, whatever. But just looking at that format of like, okay, you see how Philly's looking right now. Embiid, they're saying a month, quote unquote. He's still got to have.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. Meniscus, man. I've seen meniscus injuries recently. It can last a little longer than expected.
Yeah, about a year for Derrick Rose.
Oh,
yeah. So, like you said, they're saying a month ramp up time. I'm just right now putting them in the box until I see Embiid healthy and playing well. As like they're probably not going to do anything this year. Boston is a beast. Boston is the number 1 seed.
I'm not scared, man. I'm not scared about that team.
I'm not either.
I'm not scared
because to me, they don't ever. They either play like you said that Lakers loss when they got smacked around. That's inexcusable. I know it's the NBA and it's whatnot, but that's inexcusable. Then you got the Clippers come in like that. I saw Paul George was like a random quote was saying like, yeah, I wanted to play against the Celtics because I want them to see like if we played in the finals, what it's going to be like. And the Celtics didn't come up to that or didn't meet that challenge.
It was an ass
and to me, it speaks to Boston is like they're really talented. They have talented players, and in this league, you need talented players. But it's with Boston, all this winning in the regular season, have a blast. Who is going to be the guy who's going to be like, we're not doing this no more. We're not just going to be down 3-1 to a team that's either less talented than us or a team that's on par with us. Who's going to take the step to do that?
Rio.
And we all wanted to be Tatum. But then, like I said, me and Peebles, I think we're making an argument last year, like Tatum that much better than Brown. Like, obviously he is. But
yes.
It's like, we need, if he's going to be more talented than if he's going to be more talented than Brown, then you need to also assume the leader and be the person that's not going to wield under pressure. So, like I said, I'm not scared of them. Like I said, I almost would be more scared of Miami because of Jimmy Butler. And if they get in there, you just know what they do. But I'm just saying, like you said, to Zoo's point before, I think he said it maybe before the pod or during the beginning of the pod, it's so wide open. So to me, it's like if you're able to get another guard to add along with Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo's hot and cold.
He's shooting it. He's shooting it real well.
He's shooting it well now. He's shooting it well now, but he was cold before that. If they were to get Mitchell Robinson at the end of the year, you got Julius Randle. All of a sudden now, I think Dejonte can guard 1 through 3. Like, I think Jalen Brunson can hold his own at the point. If you make that type of trade, then you just never know what can happen because now you get into the playoffs. That could, because like you say, in terms of seeding, the seeding,
it's like
they
the
can
Lions,
push.
man.
Yeah, they're kind of
That's the perfect comparison.
They're the
Perfect comparison. They are the Lions this year.
Yeah, so it's like just take, and I don't think it's going to break the bank to get Dejonte. You're not trading all your assets and all that stuff to get Dejonte. So it's like just take a swing and see where it goes. Because like you said, in this league, you take a swing, see where it goes, and then you're able to flick something. Like I don't think they should stand pat. Because OG too, like you got 3 guys, and Randall's he don't play defense really, but like you'll have 4 guys. Hardenstein's another guy in the middle who's really tough. Like they got dudes that play defense. And Tom Thibodeau, I like him as a coach. He's been there before. Not in the finals, but he's been there.
I got to mention something. Like, I didn't even think about this, but Dejounte Murray, he's a clutch guy. Rich Paul recently was in New York and had a meeting with the front office of the New York Knicks. Like, that was a fact. They haven't talked in years. So that could be talking about a lot of clients. Like, because Rich Paul got a lot of clients. So that's interesting. I didn't even think about that, but Dejounte's a clutch guy. His agent recently talked to Knicks management. But I think what the Knicks management, though, not gonna lie, they've been executing perfection right now. Great role players. That OG Anunoby trade.
Leon Rose or something?
Leon Rose, this former CAA guy, the CAA big time agent guy. But they have a lot of dry powder right now. And I think they're trying to go big fish hunting. Like Dejounte Murray, that's a nice piece. But I think they're trying to go for that last piece, that superstar that just, okay, that's the final piece in the puzzle. I think that's what the Knicks mindset is. Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to go for just like he's a good player,
Zach
but
LaVine.
Exactly. Yeah, no Zach LaVine, Dejounte Murray, that class of it's a nice complimentary player. I think they're trying to go for that final player because that roster right now in this East, if Joel Embiid is out, Milwaukee Bucks, you know my feelings about Doc Rivers. Like I'm off. I'm done with the Milwaukee Bucks because of Doc Rivers. Look, the Knicks make the conference finals with this roster. The Knicks, this might be like the Knicks Heat type team that got a bunch of underdogs. These are like physicality, defense. Like Jalen Brunson's playing he playing like an all-star. He playing like a superstar. Mm-hmm. Like his statistics: 27 points. 6 to close to 7 assists. Like this guy's dominating the ball like a Luka Doncic type player. Like I call him mini Luka. Like the way he plays, he got post moves for days for a 6'2"-ish, 3-ish guy. He got really good post. He got a little up and under.
He's fearless too.
He is physically strong. He's physically built strong. So Jalen Brunson in the playoffs, this guy is a playoff performer. Like this might be the year he leads like an Atlanta Hawks-esque run to the conference finals that surprised a couple of teams. Like this team could do it this year because, like you said, the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh Jesus Christ, my God, the Sixers are done without Embiid. They're just done without Embiid.
Yeah, they're out.
They're out if Embiid doesn't come back. And even if he comes back, he's not gonna be 100%. What else? You got the Miami Heat, Cleveland Cavaliers. These are all okay.
Forgot about Cleveland.
Cleveland's playing awesome right now. He's awesome,
I'm going to see how they look when everybody else is ingratiated because that's really been the big point. Because, like you said, I've always been under the impression when Donovan's the guy and he's scoring 30 and 40. He was doing that in Utah, but he went to
Yeah.
Cleveland because he wanted to be on a more complete team. So, yeah, I just think the Knicks this year, a lot of teams look vulnerable. So it's like if they look vulnerable, make a little move to where it's like, hey, we get to the conference finals, and then who knows, we get to the finals. Like you to me, the Knicks have, because I think to your point that you're talking about, they're trying to go big fish hunting. I don't know who that player would be.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Say
either.
for instance, a Paul George went there. Now that would be a move.
Like that would be a perfect pick.
Move.
That's
like,
the perfect.
If you mean to tell me you can get Paul George in terms of and then in exchange you don't get Dejonte, then I was like, yeah, forget the Dejonte deal. Because then if you get Paul George along with Jalen Brunson, OG, then that's a very scary duo, a very scary, or not duo, but trio. So yeah, if that is the case, or the two things that I'm dealing with is like, yeah, I'd rather get Paul George, but you never know that. And I do think with the Knicks, and not even just a Knicks problem, this is like an NBA problem. Like, there's not a lot of players like the biggest superstars that are like on the market. Like LeBron's the only one that moves around, but like all the like KD like goes to different teams. Kyrie, but like a lot of them are not really on the market. Yeah, no. But I feel like he got traded. So I mean, when he was at OKC in Indiana, but like, and they do
people
move.
Are willing to move him, you know.
In terms of like free agents, it's like, hey, I want to pick the Knicks and go there. It's just that doesn't happen. So I'm interested more so because the West is kind of like, you got your teams there and it's whatever. But I think in the East with the Embiid injury, there's some trades that could be had. Like you said, the Bucks, like I'm still sticking with them because I just think if they could get to the playoffs, I just love Dame and Giannis, especially like Dame when he made that shot. I don't even know who that was against.
The game winner.
It's just that confirmed me. Like I'm sticking with the Bucks because I just feel like if it comes down to playoff basketball, it's going to be like nip and tuck. Like Dame is not going to be scared. And Giannis is dead. So it's like I love that
because Doc Rivers is going to have Dame inbound the ball and pass.
That was crazy. I was watching that game live and I was like, "What is going on?" Like I was so confused.
NBA script is alive, boys. The NBA script is alive.
You know what? I would be even with Doc. This won't happen because they don't have the assets. But even with Doc, if the Bucks were able to get a player like Caruso, I would be lock it in.
Oh yeah,
but they don't have the assets. They don't have the assets.
They would trade him to Milwaukee.
And the Bulls are looking for an OG Anunoby package for Alex Caruso. Quote: OG Anunoby package.
Well, what is that package?
That means multiple picks and a nice young player. So
who's you guys' GM?
AK Arturas Karnisovas. Hasn't
Smoking
really done
crack.
He might be, man. Like ever since that Vucevic trade, man. I don't know.
That's what you guys should be mad at. Is the like why is you guys' GM not on the clock? Like what is going? Why does he still have a job? Like why does he have a job? Well, I mean, Billy Donovan, he's being fed the pieces that the GM's giving him. Like, it's like, why is he not on the clock? Like, I don't know the guy's name, and maybe he keeps his anonymity or whatever, but I don't know. But yeah, that would be the only trade for if the Bucks made that. I'd be like, okay, I'm locking it in. But that ain't happening because they don't have the assets. So, like I said, I'm still sticking with them for now. We're going to discuss that way later in future podcasts. Like you said, the trade deadline's coming up. You know, I'm going to say, like, to people's point, I think you made this point, like, trade deadline, we're saying all this stuff. Nothing's probably going to happen. Like, it's probably just going to be like the Steven Adams and Victor Oladipo type trades. Like, that's all we're going to get.
That was two guys on IR, man. That's what.
Yeah. That might be the trades that we get. So, this hoping that we maybe get something a little bit better coming this Thursday. So make sure you guys are tuning into all of our social media platforms: Instagram, Tyson's Talk _ on TikTok, the same thing. YouTube, Quantro Knows. Apple, Spotify, still on Google Podcasts. I think they're extending it. So you guys got to maybe like June or something like that. But like I said, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud, we're on I want to say Radio 1, iHeart. We're streaming on there too. So make sure you guys are tuning in to all those platforms so you can listen to us. Like I said, if you want to watch us, we're on Quantro Knows. So for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.